everybody, welcome to Between the Lions, a bi-weekly bite-sized oral history of the ongoing mission by the musical collective known as My Soul Among the Lions to put all 150 psalms from the Bible to music. My name is Nathan Alberson. You may know me from other Warhorn Media podcasts. You may not. Either way, I'm your humble and obedient host, and I am a lyricist and contributor to My Soul Among the Lions. I also work for Warhorn Media, where My Soul Among the Lions resides. Now, I've got two of my friends here who are deeply involved with My Soul Among the Lions to talk about all things MSAL today. We've got Pastor Philip Moyer.
Hey.
How would you characterize your place in the My Soul Among the Lions?
Well, my work is to help arrange the songs. So I've helped arrange the songs, and I've helped produce them and record them.
Phil's being humble.
Albums.
If you like My Soul Among the Lions, you like Phil's work. He is basically the musical producer for My Soul Among the Lions. And
arranges, produces, and writes a fair number of the songs himself.
Yep. Lyricist, composer, He does it all. We also have, you've already heard his voice. You're probably wondering who it is. It's Pastor Jacob Menzel. How are we doing today, Jake?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Jake is, in fact, the CEO of My Soul, or, well, kind of. He's the CEO of Warhorn Media. He is a lyricist and contributor from the very beginning.
Yeah.
One of the primary lyricists for My Soul Among the Lions. What this podcast will be is every other week, we will release a new episode wherein we will talk about a different song. We're actually going to more or less go through them chronologically, but we will talk about the new ones as they come out. And we're going to talk about what happened behind the scenes, what our inspirations were, talk about the process. I like talking about process. I think it's really fun to hear anybody talk about any. You could do a podcast between funeral directors, construction workers. Hearing people talk about what they do is really interesting to me, and I hope it is to you too, especially if you're interested in the Psalms, if you're interested in My Soul Among Lions, if you're interested in creative work, if you're interested in psalm setting, musical production. This podcast will be touching on all of that. And we're going to start today with Song of Moses, which just came out on Spotify and iTunes. Now, My Soul Among the Lions, of course, is, as I said, a musical collective that is putting all 150 psalms from the Bible to music. But our very first episode of our My Soul Among the Lions podcast, we're talking about the Song of Moses. Is this a psalm?
Well, it's not a psalm proper in terms of where it lies in Scripture, but it is a song, right? Mm-hmm. It's a Song of Moses. It's in the Bible. We refer to it as a canticle.
What is a canticle?
Well, a canticle is a song, and there are a number of different definitions of canticles. You know, even within some Christian traditions, they might take something even that's outside of the Bible and call it a canticle. In our case, how we refer to canticles are any songs in Scripture outside of the Psalms, just to distinguish
outside
them
of
from other
the
ones.
thing.
Yeah, and specifically things that we know were songs to begin with, right? Or are we talking about like musical settings of Scripture that...
As far as we know, songs that were songs to begin with.
There are musical settings, even that we've done of other passages of Scripture.
Right.
As well, but that's not...
we're not calling that... We would call that a Scripture song, at least for our own purposes.
But in this case, Moses actually sang a song, and then Miriam sang a song in response. It's part of the narrative of Scripture, and we've taken that to music.
Yeah, and it's laid out for us in Exodus 15, and then we're also told in Revelation that...
15, yeah.
In Revelation 15.
Yep, Song of Moses and of the Lamb. Other examples, maybe Hannah, Song of Hannah, Song of Isaiah, Deborah.
Song of Mary,
Zacharias, Simeon is a very common one, even in the Reformed tradition.
There you go. So Song of Moses. What do we want to say about this one musically? Why did we decide to set this one to music specifically?
I know that it is something that Jody had been really wanting to set to music for a really long time.
It had a semi-complete other version of, right?
Yeah, that he had been nagging me to work on and help complete, and I had never gotten around to it. And the next thing we know, we have this other version that was better.
I did like the other version, but we even rehearsed it as a group and never were able to bring it to completion. Something about the chorus, it just wasn't working. And so I was excited when I first heard what he had going for this. And he had asked me, do you have any ideas? Does it bring any ideas for like a pre-chorus or a chorus? And I sat down at the piano and we worked on a little bit together, and then he went home running with it. And I loved how it turned out.
Well, Phil, that actually brings me to an important question. Since this is our very first podcast, which is, who is Jody and who are you? And what is this project? And yeah.
These are very deep questions.
These are deep questions. Yeah.
Who are you, Phil?
It's the reporter's questions. Who, what, where, why, when,
Well,
how.
Jody and I have worked together for a long time. And
How many years?
It's been over 13.
He's the worship pastor of Trinity Reformed Church, and you also work on the worship team. And
We've done a lot of things together, especially musically speaking, and we're brothers, and we have found that we work really well together. Even though, as you guys know, we're very different. We have different interests, different personalities, but we actually help one another because of that. I don't want to make it sound voodoo-ish, yin and yang,
right.
you know, but there's a certain push and pull we have with one another, which helps bring us to a good middle ground, I think. And so we have a long history of working together, working well together.
How did you guys get into psalm setting? How did all of us get into? Jake, maybe you want to jump in here too. I don't know. How did My Soul Among Lions?
I'll give the brief history. I mean, Philip and Jody had a great thing going musically, and had started following and participating in with other people in the band, like Andrew Henry, who's been a big part of My Soul Among Lions from the band side of things, and sort of like the hymn revitalization stuff, led by Indelible Grace and a lot of those guys, you know, that was really getting traction 10, 15, 20 years ago. Moving into Psalms was just the natural progression, right? Like you're trying to recover. You go back to the hymns because you're trying to recover doctrinally sound and strong worship music. Well, you know, once you get to the hymns, you realize so many of the hymns are just inspired from Scripture and from the Psalms. And we actually have this songbook that God gave us in the heart of Scripture that as you begin even looking historically, begin to understand the way the church's worship has always been the backbone of the church's worship until the last 150 years. And I don't know, maybe the decline in the church's worship and doctrine has something to do with giving up the songbook that's been the backbone of the church's worship for millennia.
Yep.
And so it was just a natural move, a natural progression in terms of reforming and recovering a more biblical way of worshiping.
And we're not the only ones that had that idea, by the way. It seemed to be something kind of in the air.
It's catching on, yeah.
Zeitgeisty.
Yeah, and of course, you know, always been churches and denominations have been Psalter only and things like that have been committed and remain committed to the Psalms. But for us, it was a part of a trajectory of becoming more biblical because we'd been coming from all over the place doctrinally and theologically. And we're settling into our biblical convictions and moving in this direction. And so it started to happen organically with the guys. Y'all started to set Psalm 1 and Psalm 3, Psalm 8, Psalm 76,
130,
130, a bunch of other psalm settings, and had also written some original songs and done some Christmas stuff.
And we should just say for people, they were a church band. They lead worship. We also thought, hey, we should take this on the road. Like we had actually released some other albums. There was Wake Up Sleeper is probably the coolest one that people should check out as the Good Shepherd Band. This was something that we were doing, right? Like,
yeah.
And we thought that other people might be interested in it. We thought we had what it took to do something first and foremost for our congregation, but also.
Well, I think that staying there is important because a lot of what we were doing is just looking around and saying, hey, okay, we need the Psalms in our worship.
Right.
So let's develop a systematic way of making that happen. We're not going to pretend like we're going to do the definitive new Psalter.
Nope.
Or anything like that.
But which, by the way, this isn't.
Yeah, no. What we wanted was to get a start in trying to do a systematic way of let's have the Psalms for our worship, for our church. Let's give this to our people. And maybe other people out there will profit by it. Maybe we'll create some songs that other churches can use. Maybe we'll inspire the real new Psalter.
The real genius. The next Isaac Watts will be like,
maybe it'll be somebody else out there that will help inspire or motivate. Maybe it'll be our kids or kids who grew up with our feeble attempts at this project. Maybe they'll grow up and do the really cool version of it. And so to make a long story really, really short, we just got a bunch of talented people together and started writing. And as you will hear as we talk through each of the Psalms that we get to talk through, you'll hear the story of how we came to trust each other and figure out what worked and figure out what didn't work. And we tried things in one direction and in another direction and reacted to this and responded to that. And you'll get a vibe for how it developed organically, but it really started to come together around 2014, 2015. Mm-hmm. Then, as you'll hear when we talk about Psalm 2, when Obergefell hit, we felt we have to get this stuff out there for people. So we took Psalm 2, Jody and Phil recorded it over 2 days, made a little video. It went mini viral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it proved to us that not only is this a good thing that we're doing and that we can do it successfully for our own church, but other people feel that need and want it.
People were encouraged by it. They talked to it, afterwards when they got that video. They're like, that was so helpful for me.
Yeah, and processing, things, the state of our nation, things like Obergefell, the decision where the Supreme Court ruled in favor of gay marriage. So that just sort of kickstarted us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what genius? What
you, Nathan? No,
well, yes, actually. What genius came up with the name "My Soul Among Lions"? What person was blessed with such intelligence, such incisive?
Was it David?
King David.
Was it King David?
Yeah.
So it's
Now, what second genius, right up there, came up with the idea to use that passage?
You, Nathan.
That's right. That's right. My claim to fame is I named my soul among lions, baby.
That's only because I was out of the room.
Jake was out of the room. Everybody had gone home. It was the day that we'll tell this story, not the story of naming, but the larger story that this is a piece of when we talk about Psalm 2 in a few weeks. But what happened is we had to have a really fast turnaround. We had this Psalm 2. Obergefell had happened. We thought that it would be really helpful to have this song out yesterday. It's kind of a song that felt very of the moment. And so we needed to name the band so that we could get it out. And Phil had been working all day to produce Psalm 2. Jake and me had been going back and forth with different video ideas. We were basically all hands on deck trying to get this thing out like now, yesterday. And we realized at a certain point, we don't have a name. we
need a name.
We need a name. And by this time, Phil was in the other room. We'd probably all worked like 12 hours or something like that. I don't want to exaggerate, but that's how it felt if that's not how it was. And Phil was trying to desperately get this song out. I think Jake had like gone home to like kiss his children goodnight and maybe eat some dinner or something like that. And it was just me and Jody in the room, and we were trying to brainstorm names. I even think maybe some people dropped, like we were. There were people in the room trying to come up with names, and then one of them
they quit.
Like, I think I'm gonna go home.
This isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, this isn't going anywhere. We're never gonna get anywhere. And finally, I said to Jody, "Why don't we just do the old trick, the old reliable trick? Let's just
the Augustine trick.
The Augustine trick. Let's just grab a Bible. Let's flip it open. Let's put our finger down. Let's see if we come up with anything." And that is actually exactly what we did. Jody's like, okay, all right. I'm making me sound as heroic as possible in this version of the story, but Jody can come in and tell his own version. Tell his own version. No, Jody was happy. Yeah, Jody was happy to try anything, and so was I. And I didn't really think it was going to work, but I flipped open the Bible, put my finger down, and what should I land on? But Camels with Spices. Camels with Spices, which I really think should have been the name of the band. I think it'd be so cool if we were called Camels with Spices. And then the way that this story has kind of entered the mythology of Soul Among Lions, like I flipped open the Bible, I put my finger down, and what should it be but my soul is among lions? That's not what happened. I think I did it like 20 times. Camels with Spices was one of them. And then finally, I came on, what is the passage, Phil?
Psalm 57:4.
And it says,
"My soul is among lions. I must lie among those who breathe forth fire, even the sons of men whose teeth are spears and arrows, and their tongue a sharp sword."
We had what definitely wasn't a eureka moment. I think Jody was just like, among lions might be kind of cool. And I was like, yeah, maybe. And we called Jake, and Jake said, yeah, among lions might be good. And then we went where Phil was desperately trying to finish the song. Like, hey, Phil, what do you think about Among Lions? And Phil made fun of it a little bit. He started calling it They Might Be Lions. Which was a little demoralizing. I don't actually remember. It was Among Lions for a while.
I remember it as Among Lions at the start, and somehow it got lengthened.
I was in favor of My Soul.
Yeah, that might be it.
And I was rooting for the longer name. I don't know if that was my idea or not, but certainly I pushed for it.
It might be.
It's one of those ideas where everybody was talking so much, who knows what it emerged out of it exactly. Yeah. and at first I was like, oh, that's too long and clunky.
That's what I thought.
My Soul Among Lions, 4 words. I mean, can you name a great band that has 4 words in the title? Maybe Will Smith.
They might be
Blowfish.
giants.
Hootie and the Blowfish. Yeah, there you go. But, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin.
Those are great pulls on both our parts.
But now nothing sounds cooler and more inevitable, and it's a little weird. I will say,
it's a little weird to call them the Lions.
If you think about it, the Lions are the bad guys.
We are not
in
the
Lions.
Lions.
We'll say, hey, it's the Lions. The Lions showed up to give a concert, which is
we named this podcast Between the Lions.
Right.
Well, that's us between.
We're among the Lions.
Right. We're between the lions. Like, we're
Yeah.
dodging those lions. So if you think too hard about it, then it would be like calling us the Jezebels or the Lucifers or something like that. But
The Ahabs.
the Ahabs. Yeah. But it's really cool. It's a great name. And now it just feels so natural. But it
Yeah.
was one of those things where you're like, is this really going to work? And it's great.
Canaanites.
The Canaanites, yeah, the Amalekites. Well, so that's a short story about how My Soul Among Lions came to be and the genius who named
Philistine
it.
hordes.
The Philistine Hordes. Actually, I like that. Maybe the Philistine Hordes can open for My Soul Among Lions sometime. Anything else we want to say about Song of Moses before we give it a listen? Basically, we're going to come back every 2 weeks, every other week, bi-weekly. We're going to tell a little bit more of the story of My Soul Among Lions, but we're always going to talk about a song. So next week, we're going to be talking about Psalm 1. And then we'll talk about the other version of Psalm 1, and then we'll talk about Psalm 2, and so on. And we'll provide behind-the-scenes stories and history. What I really hope this podcast does is gives people a little window into the process and inspires them to go out and try it themselves. Because like Jake was saying earlier, we don't think this is the definitive version. We do want people to be excited to play in the sandbox. And so we thought that it would be fun to tell people some of the stories and hopefully make it seem a little bit more accessible and like something that they could do.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one crack at it, right?
Exactly.
But I think this is a good crack at the Song of Moses.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I think it suits the style of our day, suits My Soul Among Lions and their sound. But it's a song that we've used in worship, and it works. I know that other churches have used it as well. When we set out to record it, I was told, well, we just need to make a demo. Mm-hmm. And so...
all your demos sound like... you guys...
We're perfectionists.
Right.
They are... They're over-the-top perfectionists.
But this one, I think, is the most of our recent demos. Mm-hmm. It's the most demo-ish. Mm-hmm. Because there is no drum set. It's just a floor tom. Mm-hmm. We had some mallets and which I think really helped to drive its point home as a victory song, post-war victory. And then having also a female voice character as a response to Song of Miriam.
Role of Miriam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Corey Van Dyke.
She's got a voice. That kid does. I love that outro. I love a good outro. Hey Jude, Layla, the original. Any rock song that just has like a really cool, like everybody's got their hands in the air at the concert, everybody got their lighters out, kind of. Yeah. I just as in terms of the kind of pop that I like, an epic outro, November Rain. I just love epic outros, and this song has an epic outro.
Heart sunk.
I only compare us to the best. All right, anything else the folks need to know before we give a listen to Song of Moses?
No.
All right.
Hope you enjoy it.
All right, we'll be back in a couple weeks to talk more My Soul Among Lions. Thanks for listening, everybody. Let's listen to the Song of Moses.
I will sing to the Lord. He has triumphed gloriously. Bared his arm, drew his sword, threw them all into the sea. My Father's God is strong. He is my strength, my song, He's my salvation. Pharaoh's might, Egypt's hosts, by the waves were overthrown. All the strength they could boast sank before us like a stone. The horse and rider He has cast into the sea. He's our salvation. Who is like the Lord, mighty God, a man of war? Who is like the Lord, awesome in His deeds? A people you have redeemed will honor you as King, for you have shown them your power with a blast of his breath as the waves stood in a heap. We were led safe from death through the canyons of the deep. When Pharaoh said pursue, your spirit overthrew his mighty nation. Let the earth stand in fear, let their proud hearts melt away. When they see, when they hear what the Lord has done today. When Egypt meant us harm, you bear a righteous song for our salvation. Who is like the Lord, mighty God, a man of war? Who is like the Lord, awesome in his deeds? A people you have redeemed will honor you as king, for you have shown them your power to save, and by the strength of your love they'll dwell secure above, high on the mountain of God, always. The people you have redeemed will honor you as king, for you have shown them your power to save, and by the strength of your love they'll dwell secure above, high on the mountain of God, always, always.
Sing unto the Lord, he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and rider he has thrown into the sea. Oh, sing unto the Lord, he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and rider he has thrown into the sea. Oh, sing unto the Lord, he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and rider he has thrown into the sea. Oh, sing unto the Lord, he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and rider he has thrown into the sea. Oh, sing unto the Lord, he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and rider he has thrown into the sea. Oh, sing unto the Lord, he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and rider he has thrown into the sea. Oh, sing unto the Lord, he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and rider he has thrown into the sea.
Hey, if you like this song and you want to buy it, you can buy it on iTunes or Amazon or Bandcamp, all over the place. You can go right now and listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music. Wherever you get your music, it's there. If you want charts, lead sheets, it's all available for free at clearnotesongbook.com. And if you want to support this work and get access to great new content as we write and produce new songs, go to patreon.com/MSAL, where you can sign up for as little as a cup of coffee a month.